The boardroom was quiet in the way powerful rooms always are. The VP leaned back, smiled thinly, and asked what value I still brought. He spoke slowly, making sure everyone heard. My role was questioned. My relevance was doubted. Then, calmly, he removed me from the project in front of everyone. No one interrupted. Laptops stayed open. Eyes stayed down. The decision was framed as efficiency, not punishment. I thanked him, closed my folder, and stood without argument. What none of them understood was that the project they reassigned quietly controlled a $2 billion exposure buried deep in compliance layers. I left the room professionally, already aware that meetings like this rarely end careers. They reveal who never knew where the weight truly sat. Years earlier, I learned that visibility attracts politics. I avoided both. I never chased credit, never spoke over others, never positioned myself near power. I focused on architecture, not applause. Systems outlast personalities. That belief shaped how I worked and how I stayed unnoticed. While others negotiated titles, I documented processes. While alliances formed, I built continuity. My calendar stayed empty of social lunches and internal theater. To them, I looked replaceable because I never insisted otherwise. I let the work speak silently through stability and results. Executives often misjudge quiet people as passive. In reality, silence is sometimes design. When you build the framework others depend on without realizing it, you become invisible by intention. And invisibility is often mistaken for absence rather than preparation. The real work lived beyond dashboards and summaries. Deep inside compliance folders sat layered controls tied to regulatory timing, vendor exposure, and conditional risk triggers. Everything appeared automated, clean, and self-correcting. That illusion kept questions away. Those files were updated manually, cross-checked weekly, and adjusted based on market shifts no software could interpret alone. The architecture was deliberate, fragile if misunderstood, powerful if respected. Only one person knew how the pieces interacted under pressure. No one asked because everything worked. Success created complacency. Meetings focused on growth, not safeguards. Executives rarely examine what never fails publicly. They assume stability equals simplicity. What they never saw was that control does not announce itself. It operates quietly until curiosity disappears. And when curiosity dies, dependency quietly takes its place. Access disappeared without ceremony. Emails redirected. Calendars updated. My credentials were revoked with polite efficiency. The VP never announced victory, but the atmosphere shifted. People spoke more freely, assuming continuity had been preserved. I packed my desk carefully and left notes where professionalism demanded. No warnings were issued. No bridges were burned. I exited as someone confident in succession, not someone dismissed. That distinction mattered more than pride. From their perspective, nothing had changed. Responsibilities were reassigned to capable people who believed documentation was enough. The company moved forward, convinced redundancy existed where knowledge actually lived. Absence rarely alarms organizations at first. Silence feels like success when nothing breaks immediately. But systems remember who built them, even when leadership chooses not to. The first delay looked harmless. A clarification postponed. A signature requested twice. Then vendors asked questions no one could answer with certainty. Meetings multiplied. Each discussion ended with follow-ups that led nowhere. Auditors arrived earlier than expected. They requested explanations tied to historical decisions buried in old compliance logic. Documents existed, but interpretation did not. Confidence softened. Assumptions replaced certainty. Costs appeared quietly through penalties, extended reviews, and stalled approvals. No single failure explained the damage. That made it harder to diagnose. Executives grew impatient. Pressure moved downward, not upward. Silence became expensive because no one knew which silence mattered. The arrogance was not firing me. It was assuming that structure replaces understanding. Money leaks fastest where humility disappears first. The call came late, cautious, and indirect. Not from the VP, from legal. They framed it as consultation, not reversal. Questions were asked carefully, each revealing growing urgency beneath professionalism. I listened without interruption. Panic has a rhythm. You hear it in pacing, in breathing, in the order of questions. I took notes. I asked nothing in return. Silence shifts power when others need answers more than you need recognition. They requested a meeting, not to apologize, to stabilize exposure. I agreed to listen further, not to act immediately. Experience teaches timing matters more than response. Power does not arrive loudly. It settles when urgency meets patience. At that moment, authority moved without announcement. They felt it before they named it. The meeting was respectful, carefully worded, and overly formal. The VP spoke about alignment, oversight, and shared responsibility. His tone suggested collaboration rather than command. That alone revealed the shift. I responded calmly, outlining conditions based on structure, not ego, access requirements, decision boundaries, documentation authority. No demands were issued, only necessities stated plainly. He nodded, calculating, realizing hierarchy no longer guaranteed leverage. Titles lose weight when consequences grow heavier than pride. The room understood that competence had replaced position. There was no confrontation, no satisfaction, only clarity. I did not reclaim a role. I defined a function. The difference mattered. Experience does not seek revenge. It seeks correction. In that moment, the VP learned what many executives forget. Control lives with those who understand systems, not those who supervise them. This story was never about humiliation or triumph. It was about structure, trust, and where value truly resides inside organizations. Systems do not protect themselves. People do, quietly, often unnoticed. $2 billion did not depend on authority. It depended on continuity, memory, and restraint. When those are dismissed, risk multiplies invisibly. When they are respected, stability follows without applause. I returned to work without noise, titles, or celebration. The lesson was absorbed slowly, then permanently. Meetings changed. Questions deepened. Silence was reconsidered. Companies rarely collapse from external threats. They weaken when they ignore the people holding their internal weight together. Wisdom is not loud. It is patient, precise, and always present before it is missed.